It's been a busy 36 hours for Joe Schoen as he got the roster from 90 to 53. And with the waiver wire today and the Giants claiming a veteran DB, they also made more moves. They signed another player. They cut another player, and another guy has been placed on IR. We're going to break all of those moves down on today's show. And that's why you subscribe to the channel, as you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. When the Giants make a move, we make a video. So if you love the Giants and you're looking for free, informative, entertaining, passion-driven Big Blue content, hit the subscribe button right now. A lot of conversation has been had around Gervarrius Owens and if he is on the team or off the team. Remember yesterday, the Giants, they trotted out 54 players to the practice field. Then Gervarrius Owens was called into the team meeting and into the team building. Then, 6 hours later, the Giants officially released their 53-man roster, and he was on it. Then fast forward 24 hours, and he has been cut by the New York Giants. If you watch this show, you know I'm a big fan of Gervarrius Owens. Shout out to the Houston guy, the University of Houston Cougar. Unfortunately, he did not make this team. I guess he technically did make the initial 53, but less than 24 hours after that, he was cut. And that was because the Giants went out and signed Dyontae Johnson. We did a full video on Johnson just a couple of hours ago. That was the player the Giants claimed in the waiver wire. If you have not watched it, finish this video and then go watch that so you know about the new safety that you have on this team. Pinnock, Newman, Bolton, Simmons, and Johnson. I'm going to call it 5 safeties if we are including Isaiah Simmons in that safety depth chart. I do believe that Gervarrius Owens is someone the Giants want to circle back and bring him back to the practice squad. He was a 2022 7th-round pick. He was a really strong special teams player in college, and he, in 2 summers in a row, has made really good plays at training camp. I guess that was the 2023 draft. He was in. Been a long day. But the 2023 draft, 7th-round pick, he's made plays 2 summers in a row. Unfortunately, not enough to stick on this roster. He will have to go through waivers, and if he does, I expect for him to return to the Giants practice squad, which we will also break down coming up around the corner. But with the Giants adding a player earlier, that means they had to get rid of 2 players on the roster, especially since they just signed another player. And Dyontae Johnson, the training camp hero, the guy that really earned a roster spot early on in training camp, was practicing with the ones. He had the praises sung about him by Shane Bowen. We also heard Bobby Okereke talk about how well he's played. Remember, he had to leave that Detroit Lions game with an injury. He has been placed on IR, but it's a different type of IR. He can return after 4 games, so it's IR with a designation to return, meaning his season is not over. So now you look at this inside linebacker depth chart. You have 2 guys on IR that are both designated to return, Matthew Adams and Dyontae Johnson. You got Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden as your 2 starters, and really, you only got 3 other guys healthy. That being Carter Coughlin, Darius Musow, and the newest New York Giant, Curtis Bolton. The Giants have signed Curtis Bolton to their active roster. He is a 3-year pro, spent 1 year with the Lions, his rookie year in the National Football League after he came out of Oklahoma, and the last 2 years he was in Vegas with the Raiders. He appeared in 23 games over the last 2 seasons, and he has 489 career special teams snaps. This is a guy that mainly plays special teams. He has less than 15 defensive snaps in his 3-year NFL career. He had 8 tackles for the Raiders in 2023, but look, he does most of his damage in special teams. So I went back and I looked at his career preseason PFF grades because, look, you just saw the Giants inside linebacker depth chart, and it's pretty beat up. And if he's going to be on the game day roster week 1 against the Vikings, he may have to play some defense. And here are his defensive stats when playing in the preseason. Spent actually this offseason with the Miami Dolphins, and he was graded out pretty well. 87 overall on defense, 82 when it comes to run defense, and 73.6 in tackling. I was told by our Las Vegas Raiders host, the Raiders report here at Chat Sports, Mitchell Renz, that he is a solid run defender. He needs to work on his coverage skills, and he is someone that is going to contribute in the special teams department. One thing I have noticed, which I don't even know if it's just to me that's noticed this. I'm sure a lot of people have. The Giants are stacking up on special teamers. There are a lot of players on this team that I don't really envision producing on offense or defense but they're taking up roster spots, and they are going to be primarily special teams players. Obviously, only 22 starters on offense and defense. You got 53 on the roster, 48 for game days. That means 26 players have to contribute elsewhere, and special teams are a major part of this team. But I don't know if that's just because the lack of talent that the Giants have. They are placing a stronger importance there with the new kickoff and kickoff return rules. But usually it's not great when you have a lot of players that you don't expect to contribute on offense or defense, and it's the special teams. Not trying to disrespect Curtis Bolton. Facts are the facts. He's a special teams player. He only has like 15 snaps on defense in his career. What's your one-word reaction, though, to the Giants having Curtis Bolton put pen to paper to join this football team? I want to hear from you in the comment section, your one-word reaction. Other news happening across the NFL that I think we should talk about on the Giants is Allen Robinson. Remember him? Once a Giant, always a Giant? Yeah, well, he actually never played in a regular, except Saquon, of course. We all know the drill by now. But Allen Robinson, I told you I thought he should have made the roster. And now he goes to a Super Bowl contender in the Lions, and he makes their 53-man roster. Yeah, not too happy about that one. And then Darnay Holmes, who was with the New York Giants, he now is going to play with the Las Vegas Raiders. So two guys on the Giants that didn't make the 53 have already gone to other teams and joined their 53-man roster. Look, I don't think Darnay Holmes is that good of a player anymore. Always going to be appreciative for what he brought. But let's not act like this Giants team is good enough to be cutting players that can go play for other teams. I don't think Holmes is worthy of making this roster, but Allen Robinson should have made it. He is better than Bryce Ford-Wheaton. He is better than Gunnar Olszewski. I know they are special teams players. Man, how many special teams players can one team frickin' have? I'm sick and tired of it. Coming up next, 15 guys to the practice squad. The Giants practice today. 15 guys were there that were not on the 53, so we're going to break it down on today's video. But first, if you're ready for week one, if you want the Spider-Man to run the city and pack up some sacks against the Minnesota Vikings, get your jersey today. Brian Burns, you're a Giant, baby. Chatsports.com/Burns. Get your jersey today. Chatsports.com/Burns. Alrighty, the Giants, they had 15 players at practice today that are not a 53-man roster. That tells me they have 15 players on their practice squad. You get 16 spots, and one of the spots that is occupied right now is someone that doesn't count against the 16 because he was an born in Ireland. I keep on messing that up. He's from Ireland. He's not on this freaking 16-man practice squad limit. So let's start with this. Dante Turbo Miller. A lot of people were worried that he wasn't going to clear waivers and return to the Giants. He does. Love the way he ran in the preseason. Happy that Miller's back. If there's any injuries, he will for sure be a game day active player. Isaiah Hodgins, my man. Yeah, he had a great playoff game. But for some reason, the Giants cut him, and they didn't cut the other guy that had a great playoff game. Different video for another show. But Isaiah Hodgins, back with the Giants. Happy about that one. Miles Boykin, also back with Big Blue, a special team specialist. I'm sure he will get some game day call-ups for this team. Jakob Johnson, also back on the Giants practice squad. A fullback, they don't have one on the team. I think he will do his 3 games as a practice squad call-up and then maybe be a full-time 53-man guy. Lawrence Cager, the the off-season darling, he returns to the practice squad. He's been there and spent time there the last couple of seasons. Brian Daboll said he was the most improved Giant prior to training camp, but the groin injury really cut his chances of making this team. Hopefully he gets healthy. I think he's got some skill. Joshua Miles, the offensive lineman, the tackle, he's back on the practice squad, as well as Marcellus Johnson, the UDFA out of Missouri. And then Jimmy Morrissey, the veteran center. He is back on the practice squad as well. So the Giants bringing in some familiar faces on the O-line to the P squad with the UDFA. Casey Rogers out of Oregon back on the practice squad as well. I thought he played well. Numbers just didn't shake out his way. And then my guy Tomon Fox, the outside linebacker, pass rusher, third-year UDFA out of North Carolina. Lawrence Taylor once said he was going to be a good player. Don't know if that's both because they were Tar Heels. But Tomon Fox, he is on this football team. A guy that was not on the Giants for the preseason is now on their practice squad. Ty Summers, we talked about him earlier as well on a video today. That's why you subscribe. but he's a special team specialist. The Giants, they love those special teamers, man. And our dog, KJ Cloyd, he just picked up another tackle. What did he have? 22 tackles against the New York Jets in the final preseason game. Love seeing him back on the P squad. Hopefully he can continue to develop. I think he's got some dog in him, and he is a good football player, man. Alex Johnson, the UDFA out of UCLA, he was working as a safety all summer long for the New York Giants. But today at practice, he was working as a corner, and he's the only corner on the practice squad. Love having a lot of depth at that position, man. Raheem Lane, the safety, back with the Giants. That was a total joke if you didn't know. Raheem Lane back with the Giants as well. And then June McAdamy, the Irish kicker who does not take up an actual roster spot on your practice squad. He is there in case Graham Gano has another injury like he did last year. I don't want to be disrespectful to any of these players we've talked about in today's video, but I am tired of talking about back-of-the-end roster, guys. I'm tired of talking about the waiver wire. I'm tired of talking about the preseason. I am ready for real New York Giants football. I want to talk about Daniel Jones. I want to talk about Brian Burns. I want to talk about Malik Neighbors, Bobby Okereke, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, the dudes that matter. And we're almost there, baby. If you are ready for the season to start, if you're ready to beat the Minnesota Vikings and F. Patrick Seatman, hit that thumbs up icon. Let's go Big Blue. And make sure you are following me over on social media, trying to grow my game over there. And I need help from the real ones. At @MarshallGreen_ on Twitter, at @MarshallGreen_ on IG. Give me a follow, and let's go Big Blue.